The People First podcast is a show presentation by people with learning abilities for our friends and ability. We talk about issues aren't important to us. Interviews, curiosity, people find out new division. Our way to make difference, have our voices heard.
Welcome to the People First broadcast. Today we are happy to welcome Marigold, who is a fashion designer that designs clothing is for everyone. She specialises in clothing is inclusive and adapted for people with disabilities. Welcome to the show, May. Thank you for talking to us today.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to let you know what we do.
What inspired you to come a fashion designer?
Amazing. So there are lots of different reasons why I decided to become a fashion designer. One of which is my personal journey with being disabled. So I have a lot of little disabilities which add up to be a nice bit of make getting dressed for me really difficult. And I wanted to make sure that I could design clothing for myself is a kind of where it all kind of started. I have a very particular sense of style. I like dressing up bright and colourfully. I only wear the colour yellow. It's the only colour I have in my wardrobe. And for me, it was just something which inspired quite a lot of joy. And I wanted to design and make clothing which really had that sense of joy encapsulated into it. And one of the things that I found was there was a lot of barriers when it came to kind of clothing which was available on the high street. I was having there was more energy being used than needed to, because there were simple solutions to making clothing more accessible. The same way that you could make a building accessible, we wanted to take that clothing and add and change the way that we designed to make it work for everyone, not just like looking into the way it's designed, but looking into all the kind of functional features of the fashion. And that was just something I really enjoyed doing. I worked with a lot of amazing people kind of at the start of my journey, and those kind of connections really made me see that this was something that was really important and that I wanted to challenge.
Where do you get your ideas for your clothes?
Yeah, so a lot, like I said, a lot of what I do at the moment is based on things that make people happy, looking into the small things in life that bring us a little bit of joy, like seeing a really pretty flower or spending time with cats, and looking into bright, colourful things that make you smile. And I wanted to kind of bring that into the aesthetic, so how the garments looked, and also then the ideas for how we've changed these things to make them work for people with disabilities comes from a lot of trial and error. So making sure that sleeves and trousers are the right lengths, and making sure that if you need access to certain parts of your body, then how can we design to make sure that you have that access? We wanted to work not just with the kind of how the garment looks, but how the garment feels to wear as well. And all of these things kind of together kind of created our brand. And talking to people with disabilities has been a massive contribution to where we get our ideas from, because we want to make sure that we're listening to the people who we're making clothing for. and that's really important because, you know, we want our clothing to work for people. So we have lots of different conversations with lots of different like-minded individuals to really kind of create something that works for everyone. And from those conversations, we then move forward and design, and we look at how it would work and what it looks like seated rather than standing, and all of these things contribute to our final ideas.
How to find the model wearing.
Yeah, so that is very much when we're doing photo shoots or we're doing shows, it's really important to remember the kind of human aspect to what it is we do. So we like to ask the individuals who are going to be modelling for us what they feel comfortable with, because it's quite daunting being a model in a fashion show or in a photo shoot. So we like to work with what they need, whether it's colours or whether it's textures. Like if something's too scratchy, then we're not going to, you know, we'll choose fabrics that work for the individual who's going to be wearing them. And, you know, to reiterate, kind of, we want to make sure that people are experiencing joy with what they're wearing. We want to make sure people are happy, and if an outfit makes them feel good, or if an outfit makes them feel beautiful, those are the kind of conversations we have when we're dressing people to make sure that, you know, you're comfy on what you're wearing and you like what you're wearing. We don't want to send anyone down a runway if they're not feeling happy, because that's at the center of what we do. And there's been some cases where our models have actually worked with us before shows and before photo shoots, where we have kind of come together and sat down and asked, what is it that you need? And we've designed them something which has been made just for them, so that, you know, it works for, maybe they need to do a lecture in an outfit and they need to teach. So we need to make sure that we're dressing them in something that, you know, they could do that in, something that enables people to do what it is that they need to do. And then through that, we can kind of work on the aesthetics and what kind of shapes they need to be wearing and how we can adjust things to make it work for them.
What do you get your models from, and what kind of models wear your clothes?
Yeah, so this is something which is completely different depending on where we are and who we're working with. We've worked with some amazing CICs and charities before who have used their kind of connections with people with disabilities to ask who they want to model the clothing. So sometimes they're people that we meet on a day, which is always really lovely because we like meeting new people. And sometimes we do call outs. So we might ask people to kind of volunteer their time to come and model our work if they like it. And sometimes, like I said, it's working one-on-one with a model who maybe needed something more specific, and we work together to create that as a team, which is really fun. But the type of models we like to work with, we are big champions for inclusion in fashion. We like to make sure that we've got all different types of models, and we like to make sure that there's that representation. So we work with people with disabilities, we work with people who may be neurodivergent, we work with people with learning disabilities, to really make sure that we've got all of that representation coming through, and through other kind of minorities as well. We like to show a diverse range because there's not a lot of representation in the world of fashion of people, I would argue, and that's why we do it. So we want to make sure that our models are people who would benefit from having adaptive clothing.
What do you have to do to prepare for a fashion show?
Wow, that's a big question. There's lots of preparation that goes into being in a fashion show or creating a fashion show. And so one of the first things we like to do is we decide why it is we're doing what we're doing. What is our aim for the show? So we might pick, for example, a theme, and we might pick a certain cause to kind of decide in the direction of the clothing that we want to show. So it might be if we're heading to an event, we want to make sure that those clothes work for that environment. But we like to start off with kind of getting to that theme, but also consulting with people like you and me and people with disabilities who, you know, want to help direct and want to make sure that we're representing what people want us to represent, essentially. So having those conversations about what is it that people want to see from the world of fashion, and what's kind of missing. We like to be the gap fillers, which is really important. So we have to make the garments, we have to make sure that they fit the models, we have to make sure that, you know, the clothing matches things like shoes and jewelry, and make sure it looks all really lovely and cohesive. We like to bring a team together to help on the day of the show as well. We like to make sure that, because I need a lot of support, because these events are they're very intense, and there's lots of amazing people who we need to talk to and we want to share our message with. So we bring a team along to help make sure that we're using our energy in the right way and to help with all the different tasks. And yeah, the main thing that we do is we consult with the disabled community as to what it is that they want us to show and what message is really important to take forward for the show as well.
How do you adapt clothes and shows for disabled people?
So there's a lot that goes into this, and clothing adaptations are something which some people know exist and some people don't really understand. So adapting clothing is really working with a person's wants and needs for a garment. So if it's giving them additional access to their body, or perhaps using different types of waistbands to help with ease of dressing, so to help you get dressed, and adding different things to garments just to make them easier to put on and easier to wear throughout the day, which don't add more of a stress to your everyday lives. So things which can be really simple, like adding an opening on your sleeve, because maybe you need to have access to your arm to apply a cream during the day and you don't want to have to take your whole hoodie off. Or maybe you need access to your midriff to get to possibly a stoma bag. And instead of having to, you know, take off all of your clothes, you can simply just unzip to get that little bit of access. And it changes for who we're dressing and who they're working with, because we all have different access needs. And it's something which is we can't just apply it to absolutely everything, because we're all human, we all have our own ways of doing things, and that there's not just one way to adapt a garment. There's lots of different ways, and it's important that we make sure that everyone has access. And for our shows, these are they're smaller things, and it depends if we're running a show ourselves or if we're kind of working with another organization. But the heart of it is making sure that everyone feels included and making sure that, you know, we've got simple things like step-free access or an easy way to get round the runway. So if it's really long and you can't do a lot of walking, how can we make it so it works for the individual, and making sure that there's easy places to get changed.
Is it different designing clothes for disabled people?
So it changes. because it's not something which is done in one way. Designing has lots of different ways that you can design. So in my personal opinion, when you're designing for people with disabilities, there's a lot more thought, care, and attention to different aspects than you would with say designing for aesthetics and to be fashionable, because you're adding this extra layer and you're having to think about the wearer just a little bit more and how the garment goes on and off and how it can be worn during the day. Whereas with traditional kind of fashion design, a lot of it can either be like the wearability, or it's the aesthetics, or it's this. But with adaptive design, you're having to think about all of the different aspects, and you really have to think on a more human approach rather than looking into trends or what it is that's popular, or just on the looks. We want to, with adaptive design, you're working with someone and you understand their needs completely, and you have those open kind of conversations, which is something you don't always have with traditional design.
Why is it important that disabled people get the chance to be a part of the fashion world?
Well, this is a great question, and it's a lot to do with emotion and that representation. So when I was younger, there wasn't a lot of people who I didn't really have that representation. I didn't feel included, and I felt quite othered. And that representation would have meant so much to me as a kid when I was growing up, being able to see more people like me with my kind of sense of fashion, and with those kind of struggles that we have on a day to day. It would have been really lovely to see that when I was growing up. And I think it's important that we start sharing the voices of the disabled community and the image, and really trying to integrate that, because there's so much nastiness in the world at the moment, and it's completely unnecessary, and we want to show this sense of disabled joy. I mean, I'd love to reflect the question back to you as to why do you guys think that, do you guys feel represented by the fashion industry? Do you see people like yourselves?
But I feel like it makes a difference to them when I'm taking part as well.
So when other people can see you doing it, so you're being that representation.
But
Yeah.
I show them it's just all in your head. The fear of doing it is in your head. But when you've done it like 3 times, you wanting to get that other person on the catwalk as well.
Absolutely. And it has the effect on everyone around you as well. And it can help other people with their confidence to know that they can do it too.
You were a part of London Fashion Week. What was that like?
Wow. I mean, wow is is my response. It was something that it felt so important that we were there, and it felt amazing to be in a room with people who were like who had the same ideas as us, and who knew how important it is to have adaptive fashion and have that disabled representation. We had the most amazing time. There were so many sparkles and so many smiles, and my models looked wonderful going down the runway, and all of them had the best time. And it was really lovely to know that, that event was so prestigious, and it was so lovely to see everyone kind of coming together and supporting each other and get these opportunities.
I bet it felt like a family.
Oh, it properly did. It properly did. And it wasn't just kind of that one-sidedness because we were all nervous and everyone was really looking out for each other and advocating for each other where they needed it and bringing people's emotions up and making people happy around them. And it was so lovely to be to be in that kind of little family environment and all of us be celebrating the magic of, well, it shouldn't be magic, but this importance of disability inclusion.
It must have been a great day as well.
Yeah, it was so busy and there was so many amazing people to talk to, and we met so many wonderful people in the audience, and the food was really good as well. That's always a bonus. um but it really was, it was full on. We got there very early in the morning and we left very late at night, and we drove there and back in a day.
So
Which
you
was
didn't sleep over then?
no.
I'd sleep over, I would. I'd sleep over.
Yeah, and you know what? In hindsight, we definitely should have slept over because it was a very full on day. But we needed to be back to get everything sorted out for another show that we were going to be doing, and you know the joys of being busy. And that's why we brought a team of us with us to help kind of ease that kind of energy. Also, staying in London is very expensive. Hotels in London are not the cheapest thing, and we're still quite small. But yeah, no, it was an absolutely wonderful day, and we absolutely cannot wait to do it again. Hopefully, sometime in the future, because it was just so much joy.
What is your favourite part about being a fashion designer?
Oh, there is so many things to choose from, and that's probably my favorite thing is being able to do so many different wonderful things. It's not just sitting and drawing and making, but it's meeting people, and it's meeting the people who are going to be wearing things and being able to have opportunities like this to be able to talk to more people and share the importance of disabled fashion and adaptive fashion and really highlight the importance. I've had so many wonderful opportunities, and to know that my ideas can make a difference is just a huge favorite part of it. There are so many favorite things, but it's how the job changes day to day, and you know, you get to create joy, and I think that's so rare these days.
What are your plans for the rest of Christmas?
Ooh, lots and lots of exciting things. Some things I can talk about, some things I can't. So we're heading up up for us to Chester to do a fashion show called Kaleidoscope. And we're very excited to do that. And that's coming up in Disability Pride Month, which is July. And we're working on our upcycled adaptive collection at the moment. So we're taking clothing which has been worn and donated, and we are adding adaptions to them to hopefully bring down this kind of cost of adaptive fashion, because it's quite expensive. But we want to make sure that we're keeping that circular motion to make sure that we're not creating lots of fashion that's going to go to the bin. We want to make sure that, you know, we're saving those clothing from going far away, and we're actually kind of modifying them so that they work for people. So that's our focus for this year. And hopefully some other projects, but our work is dependent on funding and applications, which are sometimes a tricky to get hold of. So we're hoping that with more growth for who we are, the more people will be interested in supporting us. But lots of exciting things, lots of joy, lots more designing, and hopefully some more shows.
That is all the time we have for today. We'd like to say big thank you again to Bay for taking to us on the show. We're happy to be able to share your work with our listeners, and good luck for the future. Do you have anything else you had asked before we end the show?
Amazing. Well, thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure to talk to you all. In terms of adding anything, I think I always like to end on a message of think about all the things that bring you joy. And those can be really simple things, or they can be something a little that most people wouldn't find joyous. It could be, the bus was on time kind of thing. But focus on those things that bring you joy. Because there's a lot going on, and we need more joy in the world. We're currently doing a form at the moment where we're asking people what brings them joy to help inspire our future collections. So we'd love it if you wanted to check that out. You can find it on our Instagram page or on our website. And then the other things are, I'll keep an eye for what we're doing. We're always looking for amazing people to come and join us at shows. And if there's things that you need designed or problems you're facing, please get in contact. We love to work with people. But yeah, it's been really lovely, and thank you for having me.
If you enjoyed, follow us social media to learn more about what we do and read our upcoming interviews. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram by searching for the PFKC podcast. Thank you for listening. We will see you soon.